Alright, welcome back everybody. This will be part 12 of the character modeling tutorial series. Last video we talked about how to block out the nose, add more detail like the tip of the nose and the nostrils. So this video we'll talk about how to start modeling the eyes. What we're going to do is we already have two rough shapes or polygons for the eyes. We're going to create like the goggle eye loop first. So we're going to take like the nostrils. We're going to start adding a couple more loops here. So before I do that, I might want to come in here and let's go to a direct side view. Kind of move some of these back and up a little bit. Kind of blend some of this a little more. There you go. You can always add some more loops later. Alright, so what we're going to do is take these faces right here, the two for the eyes and all the way to the center, and we're going to extrude, but we'll do offset. So we'll do 0.2, 0.5 offset, so that we get some eye loops around the eyes but underneath the eyebrows. Okay. The next step is I'm just going to come massage these a little bit so that they look more like eye shapes. So we'll move some in, move those over. That'll be roughly the center of the eye. Move these out and start to scale these in more. So hopefully you can start to see where these eyes are going to come from now. Move that down so it's not so pointed. And then with the second loop, now we have some more loops for the nose as well to kind of round off, that little area of the nostril or the bridge of the nose. Smooth some of these areas out a little bit. But now we have a good starting point for where our eyes are going to come in. We'll move this inward a little bit. Move that one over some. There you go. Okay, just moving some of these around so we're having a pretty decent eye shape to start with. It's a lot easier to start modeling a form if you have a good base rounded form or whatnot before we do much more crazier stuff with it. So let's actually go to edge mode and kind of maneuver some of these around so we don't have as drastic of lines. We always want to make sure we're keeping with a good edge flow as well, so we don't want two diagonal pointed lines in the areas. Move that out for the brow. Maybe in a little bit. There you go. This will be start of the brow line, which will add more definition to that later. Alright, so now we're really ready to start extruding eye sockets in. So basically we're going to take these two edges and start to extrude. What we're going to do really first is add one more loop. So we'll move some of these up a little more. And then we need a loop for the center of the eye. Going horizontally. So this will also give us some more definition in the back of the head as well. So let's do connect and make sure slide is at 0.5. So that'll be the center of the eye. We can then start to round off some of these a little more to get that kind of almond shape that we're looking for with the eye. Here we go. Alright, so now we have four faces for the eye. That'll be a good starting point here. Let me move them out a little bit more. Alright, so now let's do the same thing we did with the mouth. We're going to extrude once. I'm going to get my move tool, move it out. We'll scale it down a little. This is going to be like the eyelid. We can then do more loops around this area for the brow line and as it connects to the eyelid. So let's extrude again, and we're gonna move it out and scale it down. And then now we're just gonna start massaging some of these forms so that we don't have a lot of skewing going on. So I'm gonna move it out a little bit here, fan some of these out some, move this in. We don't want too much of a bug eye look. But we do want to start kind of blocking out that eyelid. So these center ones are just too far forward here. We'll move all that back to blend that a little more. This one can get blended closer to the body too much. There you go. All right, so now these can kind of get moved back some. Move it down closer to like the center of the eye. Okay. All right, we want to kind of pull this one back. The bottom of the eye is too far forward. I just want to keep moving things back some. Okay. We'll do the same thing here. It's kind of too much of an extrusion out, so we're just kind of moving some vertices back to get the corners of the eye a little bit more natural. All right, let's close this a little bit more. Close that a little more. All right, let's extrude this in. So we're going to get our move tool and scale that in. This is going to be like the inside of the eyelid now. Something like that. And then we can extrude, move that back. This is going to be like the thickness of the eye. So we'll scale that out a little bit. Maybe you kind of rotate so we have still some of the corners there. Scale it up. All right, there we go. All right, so now we're starting to get the cavity of the eyeball. Let's move this back and we can start to scale and drag this out. Same thing we did for the inside of the mouth. We just need to come in and move this around so it is a little bit more round. Not so skewed of a form. Okay, don't need that open by accident. All right, maybe move it in, then we can scale out a little more. All right, there we go. Maybe one more time. And this will be kind of starting the back of the eye socket. Be able to see it back there some. Unless we put our eyeball in, which we'll do next. Okay. So that's a good starting point. It doesn't have to be perfect. The next thing we want to do with the eye is pull an actual eye object in here, an eyeball, so then we can get a better form of where the eye should go. So from the polymodeling, I'm going to do a cube, move it up here, scale it up so I can see it. And with the cube, I want to turn this into a sphere with all four sides to it. So let's hit smooth twice. That's what's called a quadrisphere. And then now I can use that as my eyeball. So it's too large, but perhaps something like that. It'll look from a front view. Put it in the center of the eye, pretty close. That's pretty good of horizontally where we want it to be on the character. Maybe something like that. So what that allows us to do is then in our vertex mode of our geometry, we can turn on soft select. And let's pull our soft select value down some, 0.5, 2 or something like that, 3, 4. So that way we can start to manipulate the eye forms of the eyelids and wrap it around the actual eyeball. Good. So we don't have a lot of loops for the eyes right now, but what we do want to create is just a starting point for wrapping the eyelids around the eyeball. We can kind of take these, maybe scale them out a little bit. Start to try to wrap the eyelid around the eyeball form. So something like that. We'll come back and start to add some more loops here in a minute to kind of correct some of that position and everything. Let's see. So let's get our soft select off here and come select like those vertices. Deselect the back ones there. There we go. round it off a little more. Move it forward. We also need to select these up here. There you go. Move those forward some. There you go. So then now these can all be positioned back closer to the eyelid. Those can move back some. There you go. We got a lot of clipping just because some of the line work is not as finalized a little more, so we can move this back down. There we go. So we remove some of that clipping when we start to blend some of these forms a little more. There we go. We'll select those vertices. Manipulate those around so we have more of an eye form here. Move that back forward a little bit. Over this way some. We got to correct a little bit of the overshooting of some of these vertices, like that one. Go. Move that back, forward, and up some. So we're starting to get a little bit more natural of an eyelid shape here. All of these need to go back this way. So this is just too close to the center of the eye. Continue to kind of move these around. And continue to start just to maneuver vertices around for a little more natural of an eye shape. Once again, we're just trying to get the basic eye loops in here. We're not really too worried about everything being too smooth looking. We're just trying to get default eye shapes, what we want them to look like. Back some and up in the middle. Too much skew in there, so we'll kind of roll this back. There we go. So some of these are just going to be a little bit too wide, but we can take some of the vertices, move them around, and then we're going to eventually start to get a little bit more natural of an eye form here. There we go. Probably always good to go back and do mesh displace off an edge so that we don't have too many hard edges there. So although our anatomy isn't perfect, but we do have the proper edge loops for the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. So that'll wrap up this video, blocking out some of the facial features.